from grace. That word fallen means to drop away. It means to be driven out of one's course. It means to become inefficient. It means to fall powerless. You know, it's like somebody holding a rope, and all of a sudden, just fall powerless from the grace of God. That's the thought here. The only reason why you were holding was because it was God's power that was holding you to the rope. And when you chose to go the other way, God withdrew his power just to let you know, I'm the reason why you had the rope. And you have absolutely fallen from God's grace. Why? Why? Because, beloved, you left the very thing that was helping you to stay in or on the thing. Now, that's tough. That's tough to be receiving God's assistance. And now, you're on your own. You are totally on your own. That's scary. I'm scared. I find myself, beloved, I don't want to be one day without Jesus. Not one day. I don't want to go one day without his presence in my life. I refuse to. Now, and please hit me. And we're finna close, and we're going to close on time. Come on, Sister Carolyn. Come on. I am very, 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 very. One thing you'll find out about me in having any dealings with me, I am very careful not just to join forces with anything, but I am as careful in-house not to allow little fleshly babies to spring up. I'm not biased. I'm not biased. I'm not a hypocrite. The same way that I could say that I'm not going to join forces with people outside that does not believe what we believe, the same way I feel inside. Inside, little fleshly babies won't be birthed in this house. Why? Because, let me tell you why. Can I tell you why? I was here from the beginning. This started through me. Period. Before anybody came along, it started with me. And this was birth in me. I did nothing. Nothing. I didn't do anything. Not one single thing. Period. I did nothing to bring this about. Period. Nothing. Cannot tell you that there's one single thing that I did other than believe God. And I saw after it was birth, I saw God provide. Didn't do anything. We did one thing. Showed up every Sunday at a funeral home. We did. We just showed up every Sunday. For those that were at the first service, I said, you know, in a funeral home, I said, they're coming from the north, the south, the east, and the west. Now, that was at a funeral home. You don't start a church in a funeral home and expect to be successful, but you can if it's faith. So what am I saying? I'm saying that I saw God produce stuff. I saw God send people. I saw God send finances. I saw God in the chairs that you sit in. One day at my house in prayer, we didn't even have a building. And I was in prayer and God spoke to my heart and said, furnish the church. And I came out and I told Mary, I said, God just told me to furnish the church. We didn't even have a building. And my wife said, and I thank God for a wife like that, man. She never gave me no flap. Never. I ain't got no nagging wife, man. I'm talking about she ain't. Well, how you know? I ain't got nothing like that, man. I mean, she said, well, let's do what God say do. And went to the funeral home that morning. Might have been, how many people it might have been in that bed? Might have been 18, might have been less than that. They called me in the back. Somebody wrote a check for $8,000, $7,000. I didn't do anything of that. No scheme, no nothing. Now, when God said furnish the church, I didn't know he meant that day. I didn't know he meant that. So, see that Monday? That Monday, these chairs and this podium was paid for. I didn't do that. I did not do that. I had nothing to do with it. All I did was availed myself to God. As Elder Levi said in prayer, so many things that we learn, so many things that God reveals. We had all of this stuff sitting over at a funeral home. People passing by laughing and grinning. Oh, they're in the funeral. They don't know what God up to, boy. You don't know what God up to. God's starting this all right. I'm talking about God starting this all with us in no burden. We don't owe nobody. Why? Because when God do it, you might not understand. It might be funny to you. You might be laughing because it don't look appealing to your little fleshly eyes. But man, I'm telling you, if God in the trash can, that's where I'd rather be. Yeah. If God out in the sea, I'd rather be at sea with him than be on the land with man. That's what I'm talking about. That's the reason why. And I'm talking about it's been story after story. God spoke to my heart and said, get a van. Get a van. Call Sister Ada on the phone and ask her what's the proper way to do it. We got the van, $18,000. 3 months. The van was paid for. Now you peep in here. You see, people ain't got no money up there. You try God if you want. Yeah, you play with God if you want. Don't try God, man. You can't try God. You can't try God. I mean, if God in one peanut, I tell you what, you take that 18-wheeler full of Planters peanut and give me that one peanut of God up in there. And I'll show you how to move something. That's all I'm saying. I'm telling you, this is the reason why I'm protected. Because if I allow little fleshly babies to be birthed, then guess what? God's going to withdraw his hand. And God's going to say, okay, I've funded this the whole way. I've took care of you, boy. I've showed you my hand. I've showed you my power. I've showed you my provision. I've showed you these things. I convinced you that I was with you. And you mean to tell me that you would turn to man for help? Well, you see if man can get you what I've provided for y'all thus far. That's the reason why I'm that protective, saints. I'm not just protective of what's out there. I'm protective of what's in here, even more so. But you know why? Because you know what's on the line? His help. And I've been here from the beginning. I saw the whole thing, man. And that's why I won't just let anything come down the pipe out of the womb of this house. If it's going to come out the womb, it's going to come out of his womb. You know why? Because I want his help. We want nothing but God's help. If God ain't in it, guess what? Keep it. If it's going to take us an extra 10 years to get there, we'll see you whenever we see you. But I guarantee you, we will get there. Why? Because we're riding on God's back. This God business, and God going to take care of everything. Stand to your feet. Is he good? Man, is he good? And look, I'm saying all that. I'm saying all that because it's corporate. But I'm also saying that in your lives, man. All I've ever had was God. All I've ever had was God. And I ain't never had